والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. So for those of you who know, this is the Jum'ah Nights panel, the academic panel, the one that is a lot more intellectual than the After Maghrib podcast. So inshallah, today we are blessed to have the presence of Sheikh Nuru Mohammed and Syed Raza Rizvi, and we'll be discussing the understanding of occultation of Imam Sahib al-Zaman, understanding the philosophy of ghaiba. What does it actually mean, and how can we understand the impact of the Imam in our own lives? So let's begin inshallah with Salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So Sheikh Nuru, Syed Raza Rizvi, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Thank you so much for making the time to be here with us today, and inshallah to discuss the ghaiba and the philosophy behind the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Zaman. So just to kick off the conversation and to get straight into it, we want to speak about, first of all, the understanding of occultation itself. What does it mean when we say occultation? We say, for example, that the Imam is in ghaiba, and a lot of the time in the lectures that we hear, this is taken as a given, that the Imam is in ghaiba, and it's a given that the whole audience understands what ghaiba actually means. However, there is specific things with regards to the ghaiba that are questions that perhaps a lot of the audience may not be familiar with when this word is mentioned. So Sheikh Nuru, I wanted to start by asking you, when we talk about ghaiba, when we talk about occultation, are we speaking about a suspension of just mere visibility of the Imam, or are we also speaking about a suspension of his authority?
Thank you so much. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى أهل بيته الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. I think this is a very important question, in the sense that the life of a lover and a follower of Ahl al-Bayt is meaningless without connecting with the Imam of our time. The tradition of our beloved Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam makes it crystal clear. Inna min itmam al-ibada lika'ul hujjah. Indeed, the completion of an act of worship, meaning any act of worship that I and you undertake, depends on the meeting of the Hujjah. Obviously, there are so many discussions among scholars as to what constitutes liqa, meeting here. Your question is crucial and is fundamental, is key to our belief as lovers and the followers of Ahl al-Bayt. Because one cannot be a true lover of Ahl al-Bayt without upholding the principles of occultation, ghaiba. There are at least two main types of ghaiba. We have ghaibatun in'izali and ghaibatun ittisali. We have isolative ghaiba, if you like, and communicative ghaiba. In other words, we have connecting ghaiba and disconnecting ghaiba. So what is this isolative ghaiba, Habibi? Simply means, yes, I believe Imam is there, but he has nothing to do with me. I have nothing to do with him until the day he reappears. If he reappears and I'm alive, fantastic, I play my part. If he reappears and I'm no more in this world, that's okay. But at the end of the day, I believe there is an Imam who is in ghaiba. That is an izali. That is not what occultation is all about within the school of thought of Ahl al-Bayt. So there is no suspension. It's a ghaibatun ittisali. What is ittisali? It simply means the personality of Imam is known, but the unwan of Imam is not known. The whereabout of Imam is not known. He may be sitting next to me. He may be sitting next to you, but I do not know. But I know at the end of the day, Imam is there. He's connected with me, and he will love me to connect with him. So it depends on me if I uphold certain principles to be able to connect with Imam. So Imam is not suspending himself from us. He is much alive with us. We just have to take him depending on how ready we are.
Ahsantum. That's an amazing explanation. So we can understand there that the presence of the Imam is actually with us. Now to expand on that, we have the hadith from the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam that the earth can never be void of a hujjah. And we have many other hadith, for example, لولا الحجة لساخت الأرض بأهلها, right? That the world would destroy itself or fall upon itself if it wasn't for the hujjah. What does this actually mean? And this is where I want to come to Sayyid Ali Raza Rizvi. When we speak about the ghaiba or the authority of the Imam that we are speaking about here, the ittisal that we have between the Imam, what is that ittisal? Is it epistemic in the sense that he is the source of truth? Is it existential in the sense merely that his presence is what the universe is existing through? Is it practical in the sense that there's an actual real impact on our daily lives? Because of course, when we talk about the Imam alayhi salam, we want to have a personal relationship with him. And a lot of the time we're speaking about theological matters, very theoretical matters. Where is the actual practical kind of daily impact that the Imam has on our lives? If any of these first three that I spoke about, existential, theological, if we're speaking about the practical impact that the Imam has, if any of them is removed, what does this do to our tashayyu and our belief in the Imam of our time? Say it.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The Sheikh very beautifully explained the ghaiba, and I want to just pick on from where he has left and where you have asked me to try and elaborate. First of all, there are differences of opinion within our scholars, like the likes of Sheikh Saduq, rahimahullah, who believes that the Imam al-Islam is invisible, or Sheikh Mufid, who believes that no, he's not invisible, but we don't recognize the Imam al-Islam. Either way, if you look at the life of Nabi Yusuf al-Salam, for example, in the Holy Quran, he was in ghaiba from his brothers. They thought that he may have been killed, he may have lived on, but he must be a slave in someone's house. And Allah had made him the Aziz of Misr, of Egypt. When the brothers saw Hazrat Yusuf al-Salam, they did not recognize him. So that was ghaiba. He was interacting with them. He was speaking to them. And yet they did not recognize that this is Yusuf. And when they talked about Yusuf to him, they said, oh, when Binyamin had stolen, it was pretended that he had stolen, that his brother was also a thief. And they didn't know that they were saying it to him, to Yusuf, Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam. So many times, there are traditions that say when the Imam al-Islam reappears, we will see him and say, oh, is this the Imam? I had seen him, for example, in Karbala or Najaf or in holy sites, because we do have traditions that he appears every year in Hajj. He is there in Arba'in. So what does it mean that he's in ghaiba? Does he have no interaction, or does he have? For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this whole universe. And a wolf eats a child. Does Allah come and stop the mouth of the wolf from eating?
No.
So, there is no divine intervention directly, but Allah can, and whenever He wants, He does. Inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. Likewise, the Imam al-Islam, does he interact? So we believe in this concept of wilaya. I'm trying to simplify as much as I can. I hope Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives me the strength to explain it well. So we believe in this concept of wilaya. Wilaya is of two types, wilayat takwini and tashri'i. So there is the sharia, for example, the harams and halals, and there is this whole of this universe in which the Imam al-Islam has an authority. So do we, when we say lawla al-hujjah la sakhat al-ardu bi ahliha, when the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said this, and this is in both Shia and Sunni sources, that the earth would be destroyed, or it will eat up all the people living on it, if had it not been for the hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the proof of Allah. So we cannot cease to exist if the Imam al-Islam is not there. Meaning, in Ziyarat Jami' Kabira, for example, when you read, everything we have is the blessing of the Imam al-Islam. Your du'as are granted because of the Imam. The trees give fruits because of the Imam al-Islam. The earth gives the crops and vegetation, everything because of the Imam. Allah sends down rain because of the Imam. Allah grants you all of these bounties because of the Imam alayhi salam. So this whole concept that I'm trying to explain is man minhul wujud wa man bihil wujud. You know, the whole concept that Allah has given us this existence, but this existence that we have is because of the Imam alayhi salam. The sake of the Imam. So not only just the existence, but the interaction. Secondly, you know, for example, the Holy Quran says, "Yuwaswisu fi sudurin nas." Shaitan creates a waswasa, a whisper in the hearts. If shaitan can misguide, then why can't the Hujjah guide you? You know, why can't he place things in your heart to guide you? So we believe that we don't realize how much the Imam alayhi salam is in our lives, how much he lives in our lives, and how much he interacts and how much he does for us. Many times we cut the branch that we're sitting on. We only survive because we believe in the Imam. And that's the statement of the Imam alayhi salam.
Ahsantum. That's an amazing explanation and very, very important parallel that you drew between the stories of the prophets. And we see this parallel made by our classical scholars, as you mentioned, Sheikh al-Saduq. Sheikh al-Saduq, he wrote the book Kamaluddin wa Tamam al-Ni'mah, where he mentioned the ghaybat of the Anbiya that came before to show that this concept is one that already exists in Islam. Inshallah, my dear Mashayikh, I wanted to make this as conversational as possible.
Sure.
Right? So I don't want to make it as Sheikh Nuru, what do you think? And then Sayyid Ali, what do you think? Sure. So we want to make it as conversational as possible. For the next question, I wanted to ask a very, very important question that I think a lot of people will be thinking. This question is, when, for example, Imam Sahib al-Zaman, he wrote in the Tawqi' to Ishaq ibn Yaqub, a very, very famous Tawqi', and he says, as for the benefits that you receive from me, then it is like the sun when it is behind the clouds. Now, this statement, when we want to take this analogy, a lot of us will be thinking, when we think about the benefit of the sun, we feel the heat of the sun. We feel the warmth of the sun. Even if there are clouds, you can still see somehow the sun, and you know that it is present. And in the day that we live and the time that we live, everybody wants statistics. They want facts. They want measurements. They want the numbers. Show me. How do we go about measuring the impact of the Imam of our time in the universe, in existence, and in the world today? Yeah. And please, let's make this very conversational. So whoever would like to go ahead and add on, and of course, if I have any questions in the middle, I'll jump in, inshallah.
No. Definitely. I think this is something practical you're asking for. The nature of human being, he or she relate to something when that particular thing is practical. He's able to see it, he's able to sense it. Yeah. But of course, to begin with, even our own beloved and merciful Creator, we do not see him, but we feel him through so many things. Yes. Likewise, when you examine the concept of Mahdawiyyah and the occultation of our Imam, the feeling of the presence of our Imam depends on the level of one's understanding of our beloved Imam. And this goes with the teaching of our beloved Prophet. Man mata wa lam ya'rif imam zamanihi mata mitatan jahiliya. It's a known tradition to all of us. It is to say, Imam is there. You can benefit from Imam if you truly want to benefit from Imam. This is tied with the question you asked earlier on. What's the benefits of having Imam who is in occultation? You understand? Of course, there are so many benefits. Samata Syed mentioned some of it, and I'll mention some and tie it with this question that you just asked. First, existential, definitely true. Imam plays a role of protecting the universe. And this goes with the verse of the Holy Quran. وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُعَذِّبَهُمْ وَأَنْتَ فِيهِمْ. And tie it with the hadith you quoted and Samata Syed quoted. If it wasn't of the Imam, the world would have perished. This ayah referring to our beloved Prophet. If it wasn't of our beloved Prophet, Allah would have destroyed the world the way He did it to the previous nations. But because of a rahmatan lil alameen of Prophet, Allah kept things going. And currently, the manifestation of that rahmah lil alameen of our beloved Prophet is Imam Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman. So existentially, there's a lot of benefit depending on my relationship and the relationship of the Imam. The more I relate to you, the more I miss you when you are no more with me, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But if I do not necessarily relate to you, you may be whoever in my life, I will not really miss you. That's one. Number two, how do I relate to that? How do I benefit from Imam? Imam protect the deen. Big time. If it wasn't of our beloved Imam, things would have turned into something else. Hifzuddin said, mentioned beautiful, that tashri'i is there. Inni tarikun fikum al-thakalain, kitab Allah, wa itrati ahla bayti. Two weighty things. La yaftarika, look at the last part of the riwayah. Hatta yarida alayya al-hawd, until at the fountain of Kawthar. It means Imam is always there. And this is where the discussion of the possibility of meeting Imam comes in. Indeed, per our tradition, it is possible, not easy, possible for some to meet the Imam. And I personally believe there are great scholars who met the Imam and they are linked with the Imam, and Imam is helping in preserving this deen that we have. The third one is the guidance of the Imam. Imam guides. He may be in occultation, but without his guidance, we go on, we finish. And Quran makes it extremely clear, Habibi. Can you guess the ayah? وَكَذَلِكَ.
I'm not sure. Go on, go for it.
Because you said it should be,
Yeah. Conversational.
it shouldn't be like a minbar type of a discussion, isn't it?
Yeah. Go on. Let's hear it. وَكَذَلِكَ.
You don't know the ayah?
What was the point before?
أَئِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ
بأمرنا
بِأَمْرِنَا.
صحيح يهدون بأمرنا صحيح.
They guide.
I'm with it.
إنما أنت منذر ولكل قوم هاد. أحسنتم.
Santum.
Prophet is the warner,
Yeah.
and the Imam of our time is the guide. So how do I feel him? It fills me with hope.
Mm-hmm.
Really, if it wasn't of Imam, one would have been hopeless long time. So the fact that I believe in him instills hope in me. Number two, it gives me focus in my life. Because I know he may be sitting next to me. I need to be careful. I don't go about doing things anyhow. He's there. And the last but certainly not the least, Imam instills sense of responsibility in me. At least I hear a lot, intizar. That instills sense of responsibility. But if there is no concept of Mahdism, what's the point of being in this world?
Yeah, absolutely. Sayyidina, if you want to just add on to that previous question, but also I had a side question for something that Sheikh Nuru mentioned. You mentioned that there is a possibility of meeting the Imam, and there is a big misconception with regards to one of the letters that the Imam wrote to his final Safir, where he said that فَقَدْ وَقَعَتِ الْغَيْبَةُ التَّامَّةُ. So after he says that the complete ghaiba has now occurred. Then he says, فَمَنِ ادَّعَ الْمُشَاهَدَةِ فَهُوَ كَذَّابٌ مُفْتَرِي. Whomsoever claims mushahada, now this is where I'm going to ask you guys to explain, like, what does this mean? To witness or to have a continuous relationship with the Imam, then he's a liar and he is fabricating. What does this mean, and how then do we explain that people can still meet the Imam?
Okay, very quickly, beautiful few verses that Sheikh has recited. From Surah Anfal, the verse, I think that was a beautiful reminder, and I just want to quickly add on to that. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I will not send any wrath upon the people, وَأَنْتَ فِيهِمْ. And then secondly, وَهُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ. Two things. Amir Mu'minin alayhi salam in Nahj al-Balagha has a sermon on this verse, and says there are two things that the Holy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in the Holy Quran, that you are amongst them and they are doing istighfar. So is our istighfar as powerful to stop the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? No, so there has to be an infallible Imam who does istighfar to stop the wrath because of all the sins we are performing. The human beings have gone worse. So science and technology may have excelled, but humanity has downgraded, the sins and the killings that are going on. So there has to be an istighfar that stops the wrath, and that is the istighfar of the Imam alayhi salam. Secondly, now, mushahada meaning that people who witness the Imam alayhi salam, in the sense that they're saying that I am getting guidance from the Imam, in the sense that I'm directly connected, or the Imam is not in ghaiba. Number one. Number two, what the Imam alayhi salam is discouraging is that false claims. For example, if the Sheikh has met the Imam alayhi salam, and I feel, oh, what will the people think that I haven't met the Imam, so I should make up something. Astaghfirullah, God forbid. So a lot of the people will unfortunately make up stuff and say, I also met the Imam and he said do this. That we all the time hear. A lot of these scholars that met the Imam, they did not come out and claim that, please follow me, I have met the Imam. The stories were revealed after they had left this world. Or sometimes, even in their own time, it was their students who leaked the stories about the scholars meeting the Imam. Like, Syed Mahdi Bahrain, great scholars. There's a whole long list, and the Sheikh pointed towards it. And I believe in it. I firmly believe in it. But the most important part is, the Tawqi himself, that the Imam al-Islam says, or Muhammad ibn Yaqub, when the people claim, I'm like the sun behind the clouds. What is the most beautiful thing about that? Yes, the warmth is there. But when the sun is out, even if you can't see the sun because of the clouds, you know it is day. It is not night. Meaning, truth is there. Haqq is there. So even if you can't see, but the Imam al-Islam is there. What does that mean? Not only just the warmth, but the guidance, the second verse that he recited from the Holy Quran, Lamma Sabr, they guide with the Amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even in Surah Qasas, not only just this verse, this is a very beautiful reminder from the Shaykh. There are many verses in the Holy Quran that say, Hidayah is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna alayna al-huda. Surely guidance is upon us. It is Allah who chooses who becomes the guide. Hadi. Hadi is chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the condition number one, look at all the hadiths from the Imam sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even in the Holy Quran, infallibility. Knowledge and infallibility. These are the two most important conditions. So that guide is the Imam. The ultimate guide is the Imam alayhi salam. Now, even in the absence of the Imam, I know I'm taking a bit long. Just
no,
last
go for it.
Last sentence on this. Our scholars believe that if all the fuqaha, for example, made up a decision which was wrong, it is wajib upon the Imam al-Islam and come and point out to them, this is wrong.
And to rectify it.
Because if they all made something halal into haram, then the Imam al-Islam will surely guide and say, no, this is wrong.
Okay.
So they may do, ijtihad and make mistakes, but if all of them unanimously agreed, for example, there's this whole concept of ijma. Yes, consensus. So kitab, Quran, and Sunnah, and then aql and ijma. There is a whole concept in Kifayatul Usul where Sheikh Muhaqiq Khurasani says that there are ijmas which are irshadi. Like the ijma of Sayyid Mahdi Bahrain. He many times claims there is ijma, and we know there is no ijma, there is no consensus. He doesn't come out openly and say that the 12th Imam guided me on this issue. He comes out and says, oh, there is ijma on this issue, meaning the 12th Imam has ordered me that this is how it is. So this is called ijma irshadi. So guidance is there, like Sheikh had pointed out, that great scholars, but you have to be very pure and clean to receive. And many times you are receiving it, but you don't even know that you're receiving it.
Okay.
I believe in that. I wallahi believe that the Imam guides even common people. But they don't realize that this was from the Imam al-Islam. Suddenly something comes to your mind, something comes to your heart. That is the guidance from the Imam al-Islam.
Okay, that's very, very interesting. The idea that the Imam can guide while the individual themselves does not know that they're being guided. When we're talking about hidayah and, of course, as you mentioned, the establishment of scholarship and the idea that the whole scholarship cannot be united upon batil without the Imam rectifying it, I wanted to kind of understand with relation to the system of clerics that we have at the moment. Is it that it is a representation of the Imam of the Imam himself? Is it that we came up with a system because there's a stopgap in guidance? We say, okay, we don't have an Imam. What's the next best thing that we can do? No. Is it like that? Or is it that the Imam himself enables those who become our great scholars to be those individuals that he guides? So, for example, there are loads of ahadith where the Imams speak about the fuqaha, and they say, for example, "Inna la na'uddu faqihun minkum faqihan hatta yakuna muhaddathan." We do not consider a faqih from you to be a faqih until he is inspired, muhaddath, right? He is spoken to. Usually they use this term for like prophets and so on. So, as you mentioned, is this kind of system, can that scholar feel that inspiration and know that he is inspired from the Imam? And is it mostly the case that they are indirectly inspired? Or is this establishment sort of just the best that we can do as of now? And please, either of you, take the opportunity.
So I want to add one thing from what Samata said, mentioned from the tradition you quoted. You know, one way of looking at it in addition to that is after the four Nawab, there will be no any other one. That's one of the meanings of that tradition you quoted regarding the word mushahada. Because we had Nawab al-Arba, one after the other, during the minor occultation of our beloved Imam.
And were they complete representatives?
Ahsantum, they were, because they had the opportunities to meet our beloved Imam. Then after the fourth one, then that was when the major occultation began. So that letter indicates that there will be no that type of mushahada. It's not discussing about meeting Imam and the general. Otherwise, it contradicts some of our du'as and some of our traditions. Allahumma arina tala'at al-rashida wal ghurrat al-hamida in du'a al-ahad. So it's so important that for us to understand that. And of course, there are proofs that some great scholars had opportunities of meeting our beloved Imam. Now the question is about representation. Do our scholars, here of course I'm referring to ulama rabbaniyin. I'm not just talking of
common scholars.
Ahsantum. Ulama rabbaniyin, definitely. And to begin with a low in the sense that it goes up and up, but ahadith are solid. Like al-ulama, for example, warasatul anbiya. Some will say ulama huna refers to the Ahl al-Bayt alayhimus salatu wassalam. There's another opinion that no, every God-fearing person represent the Holy Prophet of Islam in terms of conveying the message of our beloved Prophet. Who better in our system than our great jurist, than our great scholar? That's one. Absolutely. Another tradition from Imam Sa'di salamullah alayhi, which you know very well. وَأَمَّا الْحَوَادِثُ الْوَاقِعَةِ فَارْجِعُوا فِيهَا إِلَىٰ أَحْسَنْتُمْ. So when there are new things that happens, refer it to those who narrate our traditions. Of course, there are so many discussions among scholars who are ruwatu hadithina. Could be those who explore and give people the meanings of this ruwa. It could be muhaddithun who came during the time of Ahl al-Bayt. But at the end of the day, you cannot completely deny that our great jurist also represent. The other hadiths which some say it's not authentic, some say it's authentic. That's ilm al-rijal, another type of discussion, isn't it? وَمَنْ كَانَ مِنَ الْفُقَهَاءِ
صائلا لنفسه
أحسنتم حافظا
لدينه
مخالفا
لهواه
فللعوام
مطيعا
أحسنتم
مولاه
فللعوام أي
يقلدوه.
أحسنتم. So this is also another tradition from our beloved
that
Imam.
hadith also specifies وذلك لا يكون إلا بعض فقهاء الشيعة.
أحسنتم.
لا
That's why
جميعهم.
the word ربانيين,
Yeah,
ulama ربانيين, not every scholar is God-fearing scholar.
أحسنتم.
But you see, it goes with the tradition. Al-alimu man idha nadarta ilayhi yudhakkiruka al-akhirah. A scholar is someone, by just looking at him, reminds you of Allah and akhirah. That's me. Most of our maraji, wallah, when I sit next to them, I remember Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala.
أحسنتم.
So I believe it is the representation of our beloved Imam.
أحسنتم. أحسنتم. Sheikh, if you just want to add on, and also, can you give us an explanation? So, of course, it is all, like, we understand that there are definitely scholars that they have to exist, that do represent the Imam of our time. However, we all know that within Shi'ism, there are different schools, and historically, we have developed a lot as well. We have the Usuli school, we have the Akhbari school, we have Shaykhis as well, different kind of school. You know, we have those who lean towards arfan and suluk, and you have those who lean towards kalam and so on and so on. Now, there's so many different schools, right? Do we believe that all of the ulama that represent the imam have to be in one school, or can it be that they're scattered around the different schools and they all come together to make one big picture? How does this actually work? Because for a lot of us, we sit and we hear, okay, this individual, he's an Irfani, for example. One will tell you this don't go near that one, he's Irfani. Someone will tell you this guy, he's something else, don't go near him. So how does it work in terms of that and representation of the Imam of our time?
Okay, the most important part that the ghaibah lasted 69 years, ghaibat al-sughra, the minor occultation. Why did the Imam first need to go into minor occultation? Because it takes about 3 generations to get used to of a new concept. So the people were used to of seeing the Prophet and the Imams alayhi salam, and now the Imam was going to be in ghaibah. So the Imam alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not allow it to be ghaibat al-kubra straight away, where the Imam appointed a naib for 69 years, 70 years, from 260 till 329 Hijrah. And then he said, now I will not be appointing directly. But if you see all of these conditions, like Sheikh had mentioned, then you follow him and he is my naib. Now you may have, you think this is naib and that one is naib. But most important part is that he has to be really a spiritual person. Learned, who knows Quran, Hadith, the statements of the Masumeen alayhi salam. Now, so long as the scholars, early scholars were Akhbaris and Usulis, they were Usulis and Akhbaris from the beginning.
Yes.
Until it was clarified by, let's say, Sheikh Wahid Bahbahani onwards, that Akhbaris are not correct. For example, new matters, because there is no Hadith on it, this is bid'ah, this is haram.
Is that okay to say that they are just not correct?
Okay, so this is what I'm saying, that until, for example, something is clarified by some great marja or something like that, then you will not say wrong to the previous scholars who are on that path.
Okay.
For example, the likes of Allamah Majlisi and Sheikh Al-Amili, they were all Akhbaris,
Yeah.
so some great scholars. So you cannot, even today, you cannot denounce a person to the level, say, oh, everyone is kafir. This is, takfiris, leave it to the takfiri.
Yeah, definitely.
So don't bring it to the Shia Islam. So, we should be open-hearted that we don't do takfir of everyone.
Sure.
So unfortunately, we've picked up a lot of stuff. For example, they were Sufis, so we brought in Sufism. And don't give it titles of Irfan and everything. I'm not against Irfan.
Absolutely.
But my point is that you cannot bring in teachings from other faiths and give it a title and give it, like a label from within Shia. Unfortunately, there are practices from other schools which we are bringing in to Shia madhab, which are unacceptable. We have very clear guidelines from the Aimma al-Muslim on it. That is not the topic.
Yeah, I thought we were going down a dangerous road there.
Okay. So, but I will again refrain from doing takfir. Takfir is something that we should not be doing. Takfir is to say that everyone is kafir except for myself. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So there are Muslims that are doing it, and there are now within Shia, we have now built all the different schools. Obviously, we are smaller in number. So, they are 80% of the population, so they have a larger number of takfiris and larger number of Sufis and larger number of... So we're only 20%, so we have, smaller number of takfiris and smaller number of akhbaris. And, they call it Ahl Hadith and we call it akhbari, yes? So we still have all of those in all of the Muslims as well. My point is the niyaba of the Imam alayhi salam. So it is more so, not just knowledge, it is more so political. In the absence of the Imam alayhi salam, who will guide us? For example, Daesh comes into Iraq and they're about to take over Samarra, then someone like Sayyid Sistani will stand up and say, no, we have to stop them. So rather than just Quran and Hadith, it is, from Quran and Hadith, not only just Salat and Sawm, not only just prayers and fasting, but also, true leadership. That's Marji'iyyah. The last point I want to make on this, I know sometimes I'm taking a bit too long.
No, not at all.
I hope I'm not.
No, Habibi said now, we're benefiting. Alhamdulillah.
What the most important point, I think, in Marji'iyyah is that, and I believe in it, many scholars in Qum said this, my teachers, that Marji'iyyah is to do, is connected to the 12th Imam alayhi salam. And sometimes, you think this is the person who will become the next Marja. And he doesn't. He has the most books, he has the best lectures, he has everything, but he doesn't. And someone who does not, I don't want to name anyone,
Yeah.
but someone who is less popular in the Hausa, his lectures are not so well received, meaning not that he is less in knowledge, but his explanation is not good.
Yeah.
He doesn't have so many books, but he becomes a marja, and the scholars love him and the public loves him.
Yeah.
Yes? I'm not sure if I should say, but should I
No.
say a name?
No name, but
Yeah.
going.
I was going to name
Okay.
someone like Sayyid Ali Sistani.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, everyone? I'm not sure how many people know this, but he wasn't the most popular teacher in Najaf.
Yeah.
He wasn't the person with the most books in Najaf.
Yeah.
But he is the person most loved by the scholars, by the Maraje, by the students, by the Shia public,
And most followed.
the most followed.
Yeah.
So is it coincident, or is it connected to the 12th Imam alayhi salam, that the Imam alayhi salam makes someone, okay, he's not infallible, but this is someone that Imam endorses himself or something like that.
Fine.
So I think, I believe, I may not, follow the most famous, but I do believe that the Imam has a hand in it.
Yeah.
And many in the history believe that many scholars, like someone like Abul Hasan Isfahani, Qaddas, there were scholars like Sheikh Muhammad Hussain Isfahani, Sheikh Muhammad Hussain Naini,
Yeah.
Ziauddin Araqi in his time, the greatest scholars. And they all said, he's more learned and please for. So you will always have scholars like that. Or say the Hussain Tabatabai Burujirdi.
Yeah.
There were great scholars in his time, but they said that. So I think there is a role of the Imam alayhi salam. Again, a point that he had, elaborated on, is very important. Rabbani, a divine, a godly, a God-fearing scholar. Not only just a scholar, not a very learned scholar. Not only that, but very pure at heart. And he excels more than anyone else.
Amazing. Amazing. Just to follow up on that.
Sure.
Yeah, we're speaking about guidance that we receive from the scholars, and we hope and we pray that the Imam alayhi salam is guiding them to give us the right guidance.
Yeah.
Now, the question comes here. We as Shia, we're always talking about the Hujjah, the Imam of the time. We need the Imam of the time. We need the Hujjah. And a lot of the time, the opposing sects in Islam, for example, Ahlus Sunnah, other sects, they come and they say, okay, fine, you guys, it makes sense. You can say after Rasulullah, you had Amir al-Mu'mineen, you had Imam al-Hassan. These Imams were there. And they were leading politically, they were leading spiritually. It makes sense, fair enough. But now, when you have an Imam that has gone into occultation, into ghaiba, what's the difference between me and you? You guys, you say you have an Imam. At the end of the day, today, we have problems all around the world. We have oppression, we have injustice. The same way that we are coming up with fallible theories, you are doing the same thing. You have scholars and we have scholars. What's the difference between me and you? How would you respond to this from a political angle, from a, serving justice in the world?
Yeah.
How do we kind of respond to this? What is the difference between us?
Obviously, injustice has always been there in the world, even with solid leaders around. Our beloved Prophet worked to eradicate injustice, and he did due diligence to it. But there was injustice during his time also, although he was present. Yeah, Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. But if you look at even some of the personalities they revere during their time, while they were present, there was injustice. But now to respond to this directly, Habibi, the occultation of Imam, as we mentioned earlier on, Imam is not absent. It's not. Not at all. The situation of Imam is also a stage towards establishing absolute justice in the world. So Imam is not absent. But if one goes with that opinion that Imam is absent, then you are totally right. What's the benefit?
Yeah.
There's no benefit. But all of us Muslims, we believe in ghaiba. Quran mentions الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة. yes, Allah is ghaibul ghuyub, and we believe in Allah. So to throw the question back to whoever asked this question, it's a very solid question, Habibi. Yeah. Allah is the most powerful. Why the all injustices of the world are not eradicated? Allah is working, is eradicating it. We just need to be patient.
Okay.
That's the promise of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala.
Yeah.
That haqq will prevail over batil.
Ahsantum.
So if you're telling me that no, you believe in Imam, but look at all the injustices. Baba Jalla Jalaluhu is there. And he is everywhere. So it's neither here nor there, this type of a question.
Yeah. Yeah, that does make sense. I'm just really conscious of time. I've been put a timer over there, so I can see that we don't have that long left. Just a quick one with Sayyid Ali Raza as well. There's also reports, and we have traditions that mention, for example, that the Imam, he's surrounded by 30 mu'mineen, or there's other reports as well. That and as you mentioned, there are a lot of narrations that mention that people meet the Imam during the ghaiba as well. Does the Imam actually have a network of people that do things? And if so, can you tell us how that mechanism would work? And if possible, please try and summarize as much as possible.
Okay. Now the time is short. Very quickly, on the last part, when we say that Marji'iyyah or the leadership in the absence of the Imam, when I say absence, I don't mean that Imam al-Islam doesn't exist, meaning that we cannot see him directly or we don't recognize him. This is the best system in the occultation or the absence of the Imam al-Islam. It does not replace the Imam. Nothing replaces the Imam. No one replaces the Imam al-Islam. Only the Imam al-Islam himself will come and establish what is promised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we say this is the best system in the absence of the Imam al-Islam, in his occultation, in his ghaibah, but not replacement. Otherwise, the scholars themselves would not be praying for the reappearance of the Imam. So even the Marajid themselves or the Fuqaha pray that, oh Allah, send the Imam, so we benefit from him. Secondly, so this network, so we have, many du'as, we have traditions. Scholars have mentioned a lot of stuff that I'm not sure if I could probably say it on camera. Even I'm regretting saying some of the things that I have already said.
That's what we're looking for, Syed, exclusive content.
Yeah, so I usually don't disclose these things, but it is very important to remember that certain things we are not, for example, Imam's family, does he have a family, does he have children? So the scholars say that we don't discuss those things. So it is to be avoided. But does the Imam al-Islam interact? Surely. Does the Imam al-Islam have a network? Does the Imam al-Islam, somehow guide certain people? But will they be, famous people or people who are unknown and people who discreetly go and do the things for the Imam al-Islam? That's what I believe, that they will do it discreetly. So, the Imam himself has said, do not try and look for me.
Yeah. I
will come for you. But the people who try and look for me will indulge into many things that they should not. So there are people who are trying to, through different sciences, trying to work out where will he be, can I make it in time to meet the Imam and see him? These are things that I would not encourage. Amazing. Just purify yourself and the Imam will come and see you.
Thank you so much, Syed. Just to finish off very, very quickly, a minute each from both of our dear scholars. How do you advise the community to build that relationship with the Imam of their time? And do you think we've done a good job so far of connecting ourselves to the Imam, or do you think we're not doing so great? I know that's longer than a minute question.
No, it's okay. It's in a minute. I think we've done well, but we need to take it to the next level. Why am I saying we've done well? There is a lot about the Imam of our time in our communities. What's happening today is a testimony that we're not taking the concept of Mahdism lightly. It is our blood. And for our communities, I think what we need to do first and foremost is to appreciate that there are two ways you can link up with Imam. Scholars mention we have Ittijah Mahdi, we have Ittijah Ruhi. We've got a spiritual approach, we've got a physical, material approach. Physical approach is, I've got no role to play, there's nothing really. But spiritual approach, Imam is just not just this physical person. It's a set of values that I have to uphold in my life. And once I'm able to uphold those values are imama.
Ahsan.
Imama is not just an individual.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Sayyidina.
I think if you look back in the centuries, a lot of the people may be very young and don't know, but someone like my father, who is in his 90s, and he says that, we migrated to England. He migrated to England in 1966, well before I was
When we
born.
won the World Cup.
Well before I was born, and yes, when Britain won the World Cup. And he reminds me, he says that, he was born in the 1930s, and he remembers India, when he... So he says that everyone was a Syed in the whole village. It was a village of Sayyids.
Wow.
And he says, I don't remember people doing all of these amal and du'as and. So he says that if you look at how much attachment we have built over the past years, yes, like Sheikh said and like you've pointed out, we are not doing enough. There is a lot more to do. But there has been so much development in the past 2-3 decades that did not exist 100 years ago or 200 years ago at all. So there is more awareness. We've come out of taqiyya, where people are openly Shia. We talk about the 12th Imam. We don't mention him. There was a time when we were not allowed to mention the 12th Imam. So we openly mention him. We say that he's in ghaibah. He's going to come. He's going to overthrow all the tyrants. So we're now talking about it. There is more connection. But we need to strengthen that connection, that we're on the right side. And we're on the side of the 12th Imam.
Ahsantum, Sayyidina. Thank you so much to our dear Mashayikh for the explanations that we've had today. Unfortunately, my time is over. If we have another event, I'm going to try and ask for a 2-hour slot so we can have a proper conversation next time, inshallah. But please give us salawat for our dear scholars. And inshallah, I hope you benefited from the discussion as much as possible. And we end, inshallah, with Salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.